Well, happening today, Governor McMaster lifted more restrictions put in place during the pandemic last summer. The latest order involves restaurants and bars.
A lot of people happy about this. Fox Carolina's Brooklyn Cromer joins us live in downtown Greenville with more.
Well, starting today, the governor has lifted that restriction, and bars and restaurants can again serve alcohol after 11 p.m. Now, the owner here at Maestro Bistro in downtown Greenville tells us that he's excited for the change and expects an uptick in business. The governor's last call order went into effect last July, cutting off alcohol sales at bars and restaurants at 11 p.m. But with a steady decline in statewide COVID cases, the governor has removed those restrictions.
We're still going to make sure we take every safety precaution just to ensure that our guests feel safe in the restaurant.
Tyrell Parker is the general manager of Maestro Bistro and Dinner Club. The downtown Greenville restaurant opened last year during the pandemic.
We did open in the middle of a pandemic, so we didn't really know what we were going to get ourselves into. I mean, it's been a bumpy year, but by the grace of God, we're still here, we're thriving. There were a few restaurants that have been staples of Greenville, in my opinion, that have closed down, so we were very sad to see them go, but at the same time, we're just so fortunate to have the support of our local community just to help us out.
Parker says most of their customers are excited about returning to a sense of normalcy. And while the restaurant begins operating at normal capacity, their main priority is keeping customers safe.
What's definitely going to help us out is being able to go back to that 100% capacity, just like having everyone have a good time, but also being safe and smart while doing so.
Now, here in downtown Greenville, masks are still required inside all retail establishments, which includes bars and restaurants. That city ordinance is in effect until April 10th. Reporting live in Greenville, Brooklyn Cromer, Fox Carolina, the 5 o'clock news.
All right, Brooklyn, thank you. And here's the bottom line on those new guidelines for South Carolina. Businesses and event organizers still encouraged to keep gatherings at 50% capacity or less than 250 total people. Now, everybody should wear a face mask and social distance and also practice those other hygiene guidelines.
The Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine being shipped out across the country.
Nearly 4 million doses being distributed from the company's center in Kentucky. The COVID-19 vaccine was approved for emergency use authorization over the weekend. Unlike the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines already available, Johnson & Johnson's version only requires 1 dose, and it does not have to be kept in a freezer. Governor Henry McMaster says South Carolina will get the new vaccine this week.
Johnson & Johnson is supposed to arrive either Friday or Saturday. There won't be as much of it coming in the beginning as there was when they opened the door for the Pfizer and the Moderna, because that had already been produced and was stockpiled awaiting FDA approval. That has not happened with Johnson & Johnson, which came along later. But the good news is we're going up with vaccine.
By the end of March, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J have pledged to make a total of 240 million doses available for shipment. South Carolina will get 41,000 doses this week. Now, Johnson & Johnson says 2 trial participants suffered allergic reactions after getting the vaccine. The CDC is asking care providers to monitor patients for 15 minutes after they get the shot and 30 minutes for patients who have a history of allergic reactions. We did talk to an upstate allergist about the vaccine and allergic reactions. He explains how these new vaccines work.
They get the genetic material from corona, SARS-CoV-2, that creates a spike. It's a DNA genome. And then they injected it to a live common cold virus called adenovirus, which is harmless. And then that's the one that they use as a vaccine. So how does it work? Basically, once the patient gets that live adenovirus vector vaccine, it creates an antibody production against that spike that caused the infection.
So if you're getting the 2-dose vaccines, if you have a severe allergic reaction after the first dose, the CDC recommends that you don't get a second dose. Another heartbreaking loss for first responders across the Carolinas. We can now confirm a firefighter and full-time EMS employee in Spartanburg County was killed this morning on a motorcycle on his way into work. Isaiah Kappenman was killed when he was hit by a truck this morning. It happened along Brockman-McClyman Road near Brockman-McClyman. It's right there. The coroner says that Kappenman was riding his bike on his way into work this morning with EMS when the crash happened. He apparently was hit by this vehicle. We do know he was also a firefighter at Cane Brake Fire Department in Fountain Inn. Capman is from Simpsonville. We'll have much more coming up on this story at 5 and 6. Developing story at 4, an arrest made in a homicide investigation that started back in December of last year. In fact, the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office saying 3 people have now been charged. Fox Carolina's Ted Phaeton has more on this homicide investigation.
It's an update to a story we've been following since December of last year. Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office announcing an arrest made in the homicide case of Roderick Sparks. Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright says 19-year-old Tyshawn Jordan of Moore, South Carolina, was arrested in Springfield, Massachusetts. He's wanted in connection to the shooting that took Sparks' life back in December. Jordan is charged with murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and discharging a firearm into a dwelling. Now, the other 2 suspects, Marquise Tart and Trajan Mack, are both charged with accessory after the fact. They were arrested at an earlier date. Sparks was found shot at an apartment complex on Pine Gate Drive and taken to the hospital where he later died. Sparks' aunt, Samantha Copeland, was at the press conference. She says that night in December was the worst call of her life and that she's thankful that these men are off the streets.
Such a wonderful job getting this guy off the street. So now we can have a little peace that my nephew's killer is not on the loose. Or this could happen to another family member.
His family says that he went by the name Rod and was set to graduate USC Upstate in May. As of this morning, Jordan is now back in the Upstate. Of course, we'll be sure to keep you updated as this investigation continues.
Well, it is still gray out there, but we're not dealing with the heavy downpours like we did for the morning commute this morning. It is breezy, though. You can feel that wind coming in. It's going to carry in some cooler temperatures. It's all coming out of the northwest. 12 miles per hour in Greenville, 18. Really feeling it in Clemson there. And you can kind of see it on those ripples on Lake Hartwell. Temperatures, though, are running in the 60s, so very mild for this time of year. Not too high above normal, but still, it's a mild day considering it's still been so cloudy. But 40s up in the mountains, that's where that cold air has already taken over. And then by tomorrow morning, we'll all feel it. Low 30s up in the mountains, upper 30s in the upstate. So no freeze in upstate areas, but certainly chilly enough where you'll notice a big difference compared to the last couple of days. And here's the shower activity. We've just seen some sprinkles basically indicated by the light green across the Greenville area. Going into the day tomorrow, we're going to see mostly dry conditions. All of this is going to start to wind down late tonight, and then we'll be setting up for a cooler day, 50s and 40s with partly cloudy skies. But then rain will build back in tomorrow night. So for that reason, we're giving it a 7 on the Carolina Sky Meter. Most of the day looks good, but your late evening and overnight plans could be marred by some rain. In fact, there's 7 p.m. showers starting to try to push in. I think much of what we see before about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening would be drizzle at best, not looking at anything all that heavy. But notice how it really builds in and becomes more widespread as we go through the late night hours Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday. 4 a.m. seeing a little bit of a wintry mix, brief in the mountains, but we're going to see mostly rain in the upstate. Going through Wednesday afternoon, we'll get it all out of here. Mostly sunny skies are back. So really it's Tuesday night, Wednesday morning for another round of rain. Then that sunshine comes back and it sticks around for a while. We're going to talk about that too. But rain totals, it's not going to be huge, but I do think southern areas could reach an inch of rainfall in spots. Then we're looking ahead to this weekend where I think we may end up with a dry one. We'll have to watch a system that's going to be moving by to our south. Notice most of the rain is south of us. But we might get a sprinkle or two and perhaps some cloud cover during the day on Saturday. Right now, though, I'm keeping the weekend dry, and that would be one of the longest stretches of dry weather that we've had in quite some time.
As protests against policing policies and acts of police brutality continue across the country, there are calls to reform, defund, even abolish some police departments. This is Carolyn Murray sat down with 2 local leaders in law enforcement to talk about overhauling police departments.
Many Americans have called for the rethinking of policing in this country. I spent time with the chiefs of the Charleston and North Charleston police departments and asked them if they believe their departments need changing and what would transformation look like.
So I believe reform is a good thing.
And that voice is growing. It's louder and louder.
Two top cops with a combined half-century of experience.
It wasn't created overnight. It's not going to get fixed overnight.
Saying candidly,
We all have biases. Every human being in this world have biases.
police officers and attitudes about them are changing.
That voice to me is saying we want to be treated with dignity and respect.
Chief Luther Reynolds leading the City of Charleston Police Department since 2018.
We want a professional police organization in our city that respects everybody.
I asked the police about the 2019 racial bias audit that examined police policies and procedures. The report criticized the department for use of force, community engagement, and racial disparities during traffic stops. The chief put systemic racism and discrimination at the core of the findings.
When you look at the people that are experiencing disproportionate impacts on education, lack of male role models and mentoring, housing, employment, disparate impacts on flooding, disparate impacts on violence, and it goes on and on. Largely, the African American community is on the lower end of that.
And he says the riots that happened in downtown Charleston 9 months ago damaged the city and relationships between the public and public servants. There was a lot of criticism about the protest and then the riots in downtown Charleston and how the police department responded.
I'm not going to be defensive and say, hey, we did everything right, because we didn't.
Dozens of fires, busted windows and doors, torched and vandalized police cruisers. The damage, more than $2.2 million. Chief Reynolds says as businesses rebuild, his department will rebuild trust. Does your department reflect the community it serves?
It was a very high priority to get diversity in our recruiting. African American, men, women, different languages. We have Latinos that we've hired with Spanish-speaking capabilities. We have a good representation with the LGBTQ community, and being able to attract other people to our organization that I think represent our communities and mirror those people that we serve.
About 10 miles away, Chief Reggie Burgess is chief in a community where he grew up, North Charleston.
We've been working hard since I became chief, and we've changed that totally.
We talked about the deadly 2015 shooting of a black man who was unarmed, Walter Scott, by then North Charleston police officer Michael Slager, who is white. Scott was running away from the officer when he was shot. The incident recorded on a cell phone. Slager is serving a 20-year prison sentence.
Michael Slager made a decision that Michael Slager made. I'm African American. My assistant chief is Caucasian. He nor I have ever shot anybody running from us. We're the only profession in this nation that one individual somewhere else could cause problems for all of us.
Chief Burgess says they have closely examined their use of force. Some best practices have always been a part of their procedures.
But there's no strangleholds and no chokeholds in my policy.
Neither no knock warrant.
And no knock. We do knock and announce.
They say they are both more committed than ever to their department following law and order and public service.
Police in North Charleston say they need your help finding 3 people of interest in that shooting that took place at Northwoods Mall. You're looking at pictures of who police are looking for on your screen. Chief Reggie Burgess says they have information that could help solve this crime. News 2's Katie Augustine spoke with the chief about the greater problem of violence in our area.
Northwoods Mall, one of the most recent scenes of low-country gun violence after an unsolved shooting sent 3 people to the hospital. Local authorities say violent crime like murder, rape, and robberies is a problem that keeps getting worse. In 2016, a total of 774 violent crimes occurred in North Charleston. Fast forward 5 years, that number jumped to 1,164 incidents in 2020, with nearly 2/3 of those being aggravated assaults.
Every time something happens in the city, if it's just an accident, we're responsible.
In January 2021, there were 34 incidents involving a firearm in North Charleston, and 4 people were shot.
One bullet can do a lot of damage, people.
There's a shooting at Northwoods Mall. The Northwoods Mall shooting, just one of several high-profile crimes in the month of February.
People getting fed up with this mess. They're tired of it. They're tired of people making excuses.
Now the department is focusing on reducing violence in North Charleston using a holistic approach.
The city of Charleston, my president, Charleston County, we're constantly sharing information with each other on crime trends. So the holistic approach is getting everybody involved, as I said earlier, the moral management, the community members, law enforcement, and even government.
In North Charleston, I'm Katie Augustine. Count on 2.
After all that sunshine this weekend, cloudy skies for you right now. Few breaks in the cloud cover, but the temperature is still warm, 72 degrees. A live look over from Saltwater Cowboys at Shem Creek. Before we jump into the month of March, let's see what happened in February. Average temperature was really close to the average, only down by 0.2 of a degree. Had almost 5 inches of rain. That was above normal. The highest temperature, 81. We did it on the last 2 days of February, the 27th and 28th. And remember the 4th, that was our coldest at 26. We had 4 days, 32 degrees or lower. Now we jump into March, and we've got some changes. And March is a very changeable month, as you know. Say goodbye to the 70s and 80s, because this week will be a lot different than it was last week, where last week every single day was 70 or greater. Rain threat high through Wednesday with drier air but cooler weather coming in by Thursday. Not too bad out there right now. 74 in Somerville, 70 in Moncks Corner. Lawrence Cheechak just checked in. One of our weather watchers over in Ladson at 75 degrees, so right in there. But here is that cooler weather as advertised, so it's going to be pretty mild for you tonight. And then I would say by morning time we're back in the 40s and really only warming to the 50s by the afternoon. The coolest weather lagging a bit behind. Here's our planning forecast for tonight. How about mid 60s through about 9 o'clock, low 60s by 10, upper 50s by 11 o'clock tonight. And in terms of rainfall, a few scattered showers showing up just north of Columbia, right there along Interstate 20. But it's really what we've got to look at all the way back into Texas. This is a plume of rain that is going to continue to move eastbound. And as it does, as this front stalls out and another front kind of joins it, this is going to be the battleground for showers that will continue through at least the middle of the week. And I'll show it to you right now on our forecast radar. Here's 11 o'clock. Models picking up some rain by late tonight. Maybe a little bit of a break tomorrow, just scattered showers. But then through the day on Tuesday, and especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning, looks like it's going to be soaking wet. So get the umbrellas ready. You will need them. Here's our forecast for tonight. I think we're okay for most of us tonight. Scattered showers later. 48 inland, 50 along the beaches. Here is your extended forecast. Jumping on into your Tuesday. Rain developing again and 54. That's all we'll squeeze out tomorrow. Rain likely on Wednesday and 58. I think Thursday and Friday the sun comes back out to play before more clouds roll in this weekend, as well as cooler temperatures. But again, I don't see any 70s until maybe late next week. Here is your beach forecast. The beach temperature is coming up to 59 degrees in the ocean. The air temperature tomorrow with showers likely only 54.
Monday evening, a look at your first alert weather headlines. Dry most of the day for your Tuesday and cooler, but more rain Tuesday night into Wednesday, and some of the rain could be heavy. In fact, as we look at the rainfall chances for tomorrow, not a lot of it for most of the day, about a 20% chance, but later on in the evening and nighttime hours, those rain chances really ramp up there into Wednesday morning during part of that morning commute, and then those rain chances start to go down to the afternoon, and we'll see gradual clearing skies. Now for tomorrow, you will see the temperatures, how about some 40s early on, 45 at 8, and then we'll see those high temperatures in the mid 50s. So not the 60s and 70s like we saw today, and not like the 80s for the weekend. We're looking ahead to more rainfall in your forecast thanks to an area of low pressure in the northern Gulf Coast, and that will track toward our area as we go through tomorrow night into Wednesday, meaning we'll have an opportunity for a few showers. Now, right now, there are a couple little showers and sprinkles here and there in the Midlands, but not a complete wash for this evening. 50s for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with some filtered sunshine. Here comes the area of low pressure with more rain, and it will be likely for parts of the area as we go through at least the first part of the day. So look at Futurecast. You'll see for this evening there will be a lot of clouds around and an opportunity for a shower or two. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. At times, the clouds will thin out to see some filtered sunshine. Then we transition into Tuesday night into Wednesday. And you'll notice here as an area of low pressure starts to pick up some moisture from the south and moves it in our direction. I think the best rain chances for areas south of I-20, but some of that moisture might creep up to the north as we go through the morning hours. That's 9 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. And some of the rain could be heavy at times. I have seen other models keeping the rain even farther to the south toward the low country, and that's about it. So we'll be fine-tuning the numbers for you. Right now, the American model, the GFS, says, well, just update it here, and it's saying that some areas to the north could see almost an inch of rain, a little bit more than that in Columbia, closer to 2 inches of rain for Orangeburg County and southward. And then you'll see the European model saying that some areas could see up to an inch as well, closer to maybe an inch and a half for areas farther to the south. So we'll be fine-tuning it. Again, not an alert day right now. I want another day to look at the forecast models, but we are looking at that opportunity for a good drink of water for parts of the area. Your 10-day forecast shows high temperatures by Thursday in the middle 60s. That will be short-lived because by the time we go into Friday, we'll have some cooler weather, those highs in the upper 50s, mid-50s for Saturday with partly cloudy skies, then a lot of sunshine. And you're going to notice a lot of sunshine in the forecast right now. Of course, that could and will probably change. But check out those highs next week into the 70s.